Well, so good to see you guys.
You too.
See you
Manuel,
too.
yeah, awesome. I'm gonna put up the screen share so that our folks into the room. You guys see my screen okay?
Yep.
Yes.
There.
Awesome. So we definitely want to make sure we honor people's time. So we'll get started in about one more minute. But Manuel, you're looking pretty handsome in that photo there. Just saying.
Only a few years ago, that's all.
Yeah, one or two, right?
Yeah, still me. 50 years ago, but that's it.
Jeez. What, aren't you on your 39th birthday?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's so good.
Manuel, you have to
So
go
excited to
black and
have
white
people
photo.
join in on the room. So if you are so kind, I'm Joe Pelding here with Thrively. We have Jamie and Manuel. If you could share in the chat where you're coming from, what site, our location, school district, fantastic. So previously I was in Poway Unified, so I'm Joe. Manuel, San Diego, San Diego. So if you go ahead and just put your name in the chat and where you're coming in from. All right, we got Becky from Los Angeles, Suzette, Teach. Oh, so great to see you. Yes, we love our Teach folks. Ohio, Santee School District. Thank you so much, Don. Yes. Oh, look at that, from New York. Woo, man, we are lucky. So this is fantastic. We're super excited to have everybody today. The benefit of just working in amazing districts with you all, from Poway to San Diego to Sweetwater to folks in Dallas and all over the place. We just get to see such amazing experiences. And the San Diego County Office of Education is so wonderful to help ensure that we're all connecting the dots, because we don't have it all figured out. We just know that by sharing and connecting together, that we can actually learn from each other. So we're super excited to have Jamie and Manuel here today. So Manuel, if you'd be so kind to just share your name and kind of how long you've been doing this thing around CTE and a fun story about yourself. And then Jamie will dig in right after that. So I'm gonna stop sharing the screen just so we can see you, Manuel.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, hi, my name is Manuel Zapata. I am the CTE director for San Diego Union High School District. I've been the director here for over 15 years now. I'm working for the district for almost 30 years. I'm into my 30th year here in the district. I used to be a computer applications teacher. That's how I became an administrator, and my, love and passion for CTE started then, over 20 years ago. So I'm very happy to be here. And my partner, Jamie Cambra, I'll let her introduce her.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Cambra. I work with Manuel in San Diego Union High School District. I am a COSA, a counselor on special assignment, which has actually been my favorite role in all of my roles in the past 19 years in education. So I've been a school counselor, I've been a head counselor, I've been an interim assistant principal, I've been a kindergarten teacher. I guess that's my fun fact. That was a very short-lived moment in time, but this has been a great role, and it's exciting to work within the CTE umbrella and support Manuel and our whole CTE program through the counseling lens. So we'll get to share more about that in a minute. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, I was muted there. I'm Joe Pelding. I've been a principal at 3 different locations, so San Diego Unified and Poway Unified, and just get this opportunity to work with amazing folks. So with that being said, if you have questions, go ahead and use the chat feature or the Q&A as a great way for us to connect with you. Really what we want to get together with you today is talk about work-based learning, CTE, how do we capture college and career indicators, things that really make your life easier, and also to really expand upon the awesome work that's happening in our school systems to ensure that college and career readiness doesn't just start at the high school level, but we can actually see that coming down into middle school and actually elementary. So with that being said, let's dig into the slides. And Manuel, maybe give a little bit of history about where this has started and why Thrively, and what were some of the challenges you're trying to overcome.
Sure. Thank you, Joe. So back in 2018, when the state of California approved the Career Technical Education Incentive Grant, we were looking for a program that would help us support our students and provide a strong presence of career exploration here at San Diego. We did some research, actually interview a few different programs, and we landed in Thrively. We really liked the fact that the CEO of Thrively was willing to meet with us, was willing to work with us, and said to us from the beginning, this is a partnership. This is something we want to work with. We want to work with you. We want to make sure that the program supports your students here at San Diego and can help you, meet those the 12 elements of a high quality CTE program, which again, one of those elements, I believe is element 7, includes this strong presence of career exploration and student supports, which is career guidance. Not just, information about college, but also about jobs, about how students are progressing through our CTE pathways, and then how are we providing them with work-based learning opportunities. I have to tell you from the very beginning here that one of the things that has really worked for us is having a great counselor on a special assignment, such as Jamie. She is like our superstar of the program and is really being supportive for the school sites in order to implement the program with fidelity and to get to the point where we're today. Again, the idea is to provide students with an opportunity to create this mini LinkedIn and their digital portfolios so that by the time they exit high school, they have been able to build something that they can share with the college, with their employers, with other folks, that they could do that. So again, you have to have the right teachers to provide a great CTE program, but having a superstar like Jamie that can help you with the implementation of the program helps tremendously. And later on, I'll be able to share how we were able to work with Tribely to create our work-based learning program so that our teachers feel comfortable providing that information for the college and career indicator. So I'm going to pass it on to our superstar, Jamie Cambra, so she can talk about how we implemented the program and what we have done so far. Jamie.
Thanks, Manuel. What a nice welcome. And I think to honor Manuel's point, this is my 7th year at our district office in this position. And initially there were very few COSAs. I was like, are we the only one that has a COSA? And I do feel like it's grown in districts around, a lot of different districts have these positions now. And it's really, I believe, helpful to have a counselor lens in a lot of this conversation and work, just from the awareness of courses and course numbers, course content, course alignment. You see Cal State A through G submission. There's a lot of different variables when you're looking at packaging and sequencing CTE courses and the attributes that are unique in them. So as Manuel said, with Thrively, this is our career exploration foundation in our district. And this is where the goal is that we were using this program with all CTE students, and actually we're using it district-wide for all students, whether or not they're in a CTE pathway, to ensure that they have a way to do a career exploration as well as a strength-based approach to their career exploration. That was really the non-negotiable for us. So we just created this document to show a background of where we started and where we are and where we're going. So looking at when the very first year we started was right in the middle of 2020, of course. So we had already, met and chosen Thrively, and then schools were closed, and we did not stop. We still decided we're going to continue with the implementation. We just did it in a very slow, methodical way because at the time, all of our teachers and students, everything was different for everyone. So adding one more piece to the pie was overwhelming. But we did one away, and Thrively was perfect to offer a digital way to meet with students and allow students to access the program. So this is an example of a counseling lesson that we offered for all of our middle school counselors, and they all were on board. We have 5 middle schools, and they all implemented this during distance learning. And looking back, I can't believe they did it, and they did it with fidelity and so well. And at the time, we didn't even sync with our student information system. So it was kind of cumbersome because they had to do these access codes and welcome invite codes. And we still did it. And the counselors were still totally on board, and they loved it because the students were engaged and they had something that was different and provided them feedback that was strong, like what was strong with them, what's cool about you. And so that's what the strength assessment was. That was our ask, is that every student throughout these distance learning classes through the counseling program, which our counseling program doesn't get to access students as much as we'd like, but when they do, we wanted it to be meaningful. So they did the strength assessment, and Joe's showing the responses and how we can see the data for the strength assessment. So our goal with Manuel and I, when we were talking to different companies, was that we had a program that provided data that we could use to help drive the CTE program and continue to modify and enhance it, but also for grant reporting and also for different like accountability features with our school board or our leadership teams. It was really nice and to show our principals, how do we, how do you know your students better with this program? It's not just in the classroom, but for counselors have a view, administrators have a view, teachers have a view. And then the biggest piece was putting together staff training at one of our middle schools. This is a picture of that, where the staff took a strength assessment and they used these strength cards to kind of model what a teacher would do in a classroom with students. And it was a really engaging way to look that not only is Thrively a program, online, but kids, we can, in the classroom, you can use it as exercises in person that engage students and allow them to talk to one another. So in one of our schools, there was an ask that they really wanted to come up with new electives in middle school, kind of that pre-CTE angle of how can we identify which courses our students are really interested in, and then build a CTE wheel off of that, because we wanted the middle school window to be like that sample time. So then the kids would go to high school and be able to launch into the CTE pathway. So we used Thrively and had all the students take the strength assessment. And with that, it infers their interests and different pathways that they may be interested in. So this is the data we shared with the school administration and counselor. And from that, they were able to work to develop that wheel course. So that was a cool way to see how that data could be relevant. And then last year, we kind of expanded the usage beyond the middle school courses and that master's schedule support into adding a lot of our special education providers use Thrively one-on-one with students. We really focused on the middle school lessons that were grade level specific. So we identified, and this was our decision in our district, but it can be done in many different ways. We look at 7th grade as self-awareness. We're a 7 through 12 district. So 7th grade students, it's the first time they're in our district. It's the first time we get them. They come from 5 elementary feeder school districts. So all different curriculum, all different types of situations. And we were like, let's get a foundation year to self-awareness so the kids know what that means, and then take the strength assessment to learn more about themselves. And then in 8th grade, we launch into career exploration. So knowing then at that point, well, what's strong with me and what am I good at? And then looking at what could I do with those skills and what types of career pathways could I pursue? And this is an example of the lesson. It had 3 videos that the students engaged with. And in some cases, the teachers in the class or the counselors would show the video as a class setting. And then students would use their Chromebooks, which is what we use in our district, to respond to the questions. So additionally, we had anecdotal data from students about what did they believe their superpower was. That's the first exercise. And then there was an exercise about their North Star and just trying to connect the dots on, now that you know what's great about you, what are you going to do with that information? And then this year, we feel like this has kind of been, like they always say, 3-year plans, right? We're in our 3rd year and we're finally getting to where we're hoping to go. And we're continuing with those pathway lessons. But we did begin this work-based learning integration and reporting. And Manuel is going to speak to that in a minute. But that's been a really successful piece of Thrively. And like Manuel and Joe talked about, the partnership that we have with Joe to come with like a vision and then turn it into the reality. And then now we're refining the reality. We were able to create a pilot last year, and this year we improved that and made it even a little bit better for our reporting. And we're also developing content that students can engage with work-based learning, because so often we realized that was something at the district office that we had to do, right? It was this accountability. It was this, you have to send it to the state. Well, we were like, why not make this student facing and give them agency in the whole experience and allow students to know, well, what does work-based learning mean? And why is that an important part of the CTE pathway? And what skills will it give me so that when I do graduate from high school and I may want to pursue this career or go to college and then pursue a career, will I be able to take with me? And so it's twisting the table has really, we're hoping, been an essential piece of this. So Manuel, do you want to speak to vision?
Absolutely. So again, when we started to report work-based learning for CCI purposes, we created this Google form and then share it with all of our teachers so that they could, record the work-based learning opportunities that we had here in our district. At the beginning, it was a little cumbersome. It was a lot of work and stuff. So remember, I reached out to Joe and said, Joe, is this something we can do in Tribally. It would save us a lot of time. And I gave him this guide, the work-based learning reporting, and he said, sure, let's try it. Let's give it to our engineering team. And we did. And as Jamie mentioned, we piloted last year. And this is the great thing about our partnership with Tribally, that we piloted, our teachers provided some feedback, and they said, it's too much work. We prefer to go back to the Google form. The engineering team again made changes, and now it looks so easy. We just a few weeks ago, we provided a training to one of our schools, all of our CTE teachers, and the difference is tremendous. We had great feedback and said thank you. They all said thank you for the changes, and again, it's all thanks to the great partnership that we have with Tribally.
And I want to add that what was really unique about this, at least from all the other platforms we've looked at and I've seen, is that Tribally took the template that we as this have to report all of our information through. So their engineering team took that template of data that we had to extract from our teachers and students and aligned a whole goal. It's part of, in the Tribally, it's a goal and a highlight of student ads. And that's where it was intentional of the questions they answered were exactly the information. So last year was our first year doing it, and it worked flawlessly. We were able to pull the data report from the back end of Tribally, and then our student information system specialist submitted that in the CalPADS reporting. So those of you in California, you understand the language I'm speaking, but I know every state has a similar process. And it's not something CTE teachers really want. We're trying, that's not what this is about. We're really trying to ensure that's a benefit on the back end, but the work-based learning forward-facing feature is kind of moving ahead where we really want to go, that the kids are part of this whole conversation. And Joe just showed this slide deck is also including our continuation high school, which we were intentionally really trying to ensure that Tribally is used there for every student, and not just a strength assessment, but used in advisory, so that the kids, there's a true connection between the teachers in the classroom and every student at that school. Because in general, continuation high school students are there for different reasons. Some are trying to graduate early, some are trying to repeat credits, some are trying to get a reset or a new start or a different environment. And using Tribally has been a really positive experience for those students. When they come into school, they're not just, oh, you're missing these credits or you need to make up these classes. It's, oh, I didn't know that you liked hip hop and you want to be a DJ, or I didn't know that you're really into, baton twirling, or you're an amazing chess player. So it's humanizing the student transition, which I think is really cool. Future plans, Manuel.
Yeah, future plans, and then we'll do a little deep dive into what does that actually look like, and how do we extract some of that data so that we can do a little show and tell. And then we'll have some Q&A at the end, because we already have some questions brewing. So I know we want to make sure that we end this within 30 minutes. So just kind of where you're going from here, and then we'll do a little show and tell.
I can speak to where we're going. Well, I guess, Manuel, maybe you talk about the continuing lesson.
Yeah, so again, we wanted to make this as easy as possible for our teachers to implement, and for our students to record their work-based learning experiences. I think we have done it, and so now we do have, Joe is going to show in a few minutes what we did for that lesson. But we also, within Tribally, we also added some videos to promote our career technical education pathways at each of our schools. So that also is part of this new playlist that we created. So Joe, I think you were going to go.
And I think that just that idea that this is a continuum from elementary, middle, high school to post-secondary. And so what the thing is that oftentimes our teachers don't have the total access of what does it mean to have a work-based learning experience. And so what we did is we embedded inside, you can embed any type of teacher guide resource here. So you'll see the way this is broken up is, what is career awareness? Well, it's a career fair, it's a career chat, it's an industry tour. What does it look like to have a career exploration? Well, that's a career competition or a job shadow or a mentorship. Well, then what's helpful for the CTE teachers is they can just play this directly lesson. So here's career awareness. So in career awareness, we wanted to talk about a career fair and how that's an activity where employers have a variety of industries to come together. And they can just play this video. This comes from UCI, the UCI Center. So then kids can say like, oh, here's a career fair. That's what it is. What are employees looking for? So let's talk to one that's here at a career fair. and they can start to hear directly from those industry experts.
That a student that tries to present themselves professionally, they come out.
And so what was interesting when we did this with the CTE team, they go like, oh, that's awesome. We don't have to go to find that career. What if we did our own little in-house career fair? And then the computer science teacher's like, whoa, what if we did another little activity where we're going to invite guest speakers, but this time let's make sure that the kids go out there and bring the guest speakers in. And so there's just these little resources that help you to kind of navigate through those different elements of work-based learning. I'll just dig into one more. Now, this is career exploration. The next layer of work-based learning. Oh, career competition. And that's where Jamie, remember your computer science teacher said, well, we need to have not just a robotics one, but what if we had a computer science cybersecurity event at our site? So it started to just right away, they started to see like, whoa, we could bring on different work-based learning experiences. We don't have to go out and find that internship. We can do it in-house because the expertise, the smartest person in the room is the room. And so they just leverage that collective genius together. And so there's just all these different resources so that you can walk through what does it look like for our students to engage in, a career preparation or a career training. So the deeper level of this, where it's what is a registered pre-apprenticeship? I mean, I learned about this as we were digging into this, and it's so fascinating to see. And this particular element talks about a kid who was never recognized before, but then really thrived because of this pre-apprenticeship program. So then what this did is it started to get the teachers to start to synergize around how might we create work-based learning experiences on site. So that's one element of it. And then I want to show what happens. And once you do that and the kids are engaging in this, and I'm going to show you from the student platform, and what it gets exciting for the student is you can see as the students coming through here, Jamie was talking about learner agency. You can see the student understands what are my top strengths. You can get in here like the state civics resources, but right here for our team at San Diego, what they did is they ensured that every kid had a goal, specifically for a work-based learning goal. That goal got pushed to them, then the students have an action plan on how to solve that, capstone, industry, whatever it is. They then take a highlight, they can put those highlights in as evidence of their learning. They're not waiting for the teacher to script this in. The kid is, what was the name of that evidence? When did it happen? How much time did I spend? What was it? But then you can see this little piece. This is the innovation right here. Is this a work-based learning experience? Yes. So now watch what happens. So that little box pops open. Now these are the college career indicators for the state. Virtual work-based learning. Was it a non-pre-register? Was it industry tour? Okay, this was a student-led enterprise. Awesome. Which pathway was that in? Oh, that was in the education one. And you can see then it opens up what course does that connect to? And then the kid goes, oh, that was my child development. How did I hear about that? It was my CTE director. Thank you, Manuel. And then evidence. What evidence did I have? Photo, video, audio, presentation, which then is the magic. Then all of that gets combined. And so they can see it becomes a highlight for the student. The magic happens then on the back end, because now that the kids have had that agency, you can now run that report, and then that report looks something similar to this. So if you can see this, I kind of hiding some of the kids' work here. But this is Torrey Pines. What was the pathway? What date did that happen on? What type of it? How much time did they spend? What was the kids' experience on it, right? How did they find this work-based learning? So all this data now can be aggregated, and then it gets dumped into the student information system. That's why we're so excited about it, because it's this cool partnership. And before I geek out, one more thing. This is super powerful, because what I found is that our middle school kids don't necessarily know what the CTE pathways are in high school. They hear about them or their friend is taking it, but check out what the future work that they're doing here with our friends at San Diego. So you saw this other one here. And Jamie, thumbs up, you see my screen? Yeah, check this out, the CTE pathway. So now imagine every 8th grader is wondering what's happening at Torrey Pines High School, right? And so they have the counselor comes in and said, hey, check out what's happening at Torrey Pines High School. Now, Torrey Pines High School has a video for each of their pathways made by who? The kids. So the kids put together the videos specifically for this in the different sectors. So they have the business, finance, the cabinetry. You can just see here, take a look at this all the way down. I'm going to go down to one of these sectors here. Manuel's favorite, food services. So check it out. So here's one of the videos by the kids about Torrey Pines food service industry.
Culinary arts is a very popular class taken by students at Torrey Pines, designated to teach students concepts in food preparation, food safety, nutrition, workplace skills, and related culinary concepts.
Okay, cool. So they get to see that, then they can just pop in. So say I'm interested in, you know what, I'm actually interested in the arts, media, entertainment sector. So the kids click on that. Then it pops up to say what other jobs might be in that space because I'm really fascinated by that. So they click on that, goes into Thrively, then Thrively can show you those. Dance, dancer, actor, actress. Cool, that's awesome. Well, what about, choreographer? I'm actually really interested in choreography. What does that have to do with? Day in the life videos. What are the knowledge and skills and dispositions I need in that? Then the student comes back and says, you know what? At the very end, after reviewing the CTE offerings at Torrey Pines High School, reflect on the question below. Which pathway is most interesting to you and why? Boom, 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 boom. All that data gets collected and then it gets aggregated for the district. Boom. Awesome. That is so exciting. Jamie or Manuel, you want to talk about that? I'm geeking out.
It is exciting. And I think that was created because for a few years, we'd had a lot of reading that the students did in their 8th grade career exploration. And we had these beautiful brochures and things that they could read about different pathways. But it was just a lot for an 8th grade student to read as we're talking to them about going to high school and what are the classes they can take and what do the CTE pathways mean. So it was Manuel's idea to think about, well, let's engage them a little bit more so they can actually see what's happening. And in our district, they can choose, they have high school choice. So we thought this was a great way for them to learn about similar courses, maybe at different schools, and just see what was available to them.
And Jamie, there's a couple of questions. One is, does Thrively have no tech resources for offline resources? And then obviously things around Mount Carmel High School, talking about CTE resources, essential skill development. I know we've done a lot of work with that with you, so you maybe want to talk about what can a teacher get access to outside of what we just showed with work-based learning.
Yeah, I know with essential skills, it's another project we're currently working on with San Diego Workforce Partnership, where we are using the content for their essential skills, which is reflective of the market we live in, San Diego and Imperial County, so that our students have the skills that employers value. And so we're rolling that out in middle school for 7th and 8th grade students. And we're piloting at one of our middle schools and using the resources from San Diego Workforce Partnership, packaging them into Thrively and using Thrively as the avenue to deliver the information in the classroom, because our students now know how to log into Thrively since it's connected to our Aries. We use Aries. So a single student sign on, and then they log in through Clever, and it's easy to access, and the teachers understand it as well. So that's one example of other ways we're doing it. And then individual teachers, we have a CTE tech teacher at one of our high schools that uses this for an intro to tech class, and they just pick different topics that are embedded in Thrively that are already curated and in their kind of library. And we've developed content calendars, which allow the teachers and students access to different themes of content throughout the school year. And right now I'm working with one of our high schools for their CASP testing and their state testing in April to be packaged Thrively for 9th, 10th, and 12th graders when the 11th graders are testing, so that the students at the same time will be going through content that is aligned with the school SIPSA or the school Healthy Kids Survey or any data of like, what do we want our students to work on? So it's really anchored in data that is driving that this is kind of pushing the needle one way or the other for the school administration. I don't know if I answered the question about
yeah, we were just kind of getting the tip of the iceberg. What was specifically important to you was work-based learning. How do we amplify that? How do we support CTE teachers in that work-based learning? How do we give that idea about career awareness at the early levels of 7th and 8th grade? How does that get operationalized? Manuel, any other things that you see that you're excited about, and how might they contact you if you want to put that in the chat?
Sure, I'm happy to do my email. The end product, Joe, when we talked about this and I reached out to you and said, Joe, I really need to make this process a lot easier for my teachers and for myself to be able to report this information for the CCI. And not only for that, but also work-based learning opportunities. When I'm writing grants for the district, I can easily go run that report and say, okay, I had of the 6,500 students that participated in CTE programs, 3,500 are participating in work-based learning opportunities. So I can easily access that information and write it as part of my grant. So yes, I'm going to put also my email so you guys can reach us with any additional questions. Happy to help with that.
And so that's the beautiful piece. What we know about student agency is that one, do we know our kids by their strengths? Do the kids know themselves by their strengths? I had my first year college kid. He did his application last year. Said, tell about your identity in 150 words. He's like, what does that mean? My son, who's at UCSD, got a recent residency because he was able to curate and articulate and communicate about himself, that what makes him strong, not wrong, right? So I think all these bits is that it gets curated, not in Google somewhere. The kids have aspirational pieces about who they are, what makes them unique. My multiple intelligence, my habits of mind, my RIASEC, they all flow into the student's digital portfolio. What's my hope index? Am I hopeful about my future? What are my goals? What's my competency? So you can give digital badges for students, so micro badging for our kids. And then they can have all of this become part of a public profile, and they can just start to pin elements that they want to have part of their public profile. And then it helps them with their college application process. It helps them with navigating a career because they're able to talk about authentically about what makes them unique, what makes them spiky, and why they should be a great candidate for this space. So all this comes together because all this magic is happening in the classrooms. Now, how do we just curate it and pull it out so that the kid can say, wow, this is what makes me unique. So what's strong versus what's wrong with our kids? All right, we did it, 4 o'clock. Holy smokes, high five. So it's great to be able to reach out. I'll put up the last screen here, and I can hang out for a few minutes. Manuel, thank you so much for the time you give and just sharing one example of how it looks in San Diego. Jamie, being able to just help operationalize that, I think having a strategic partner is really critical. And then I'll stick around if there's any other questions that people have. Jamie, can you stick around maybe for a few more minutes?
You bet.
Okay.
I'm here.
So the Q&A is still open. We'll keep that open for 2 more minutes. And if there's no more questions, we really, really thank you guys for coming out. And this recording will be available. We'll send it back out to y'all. And again, I'm Joe at thrively.com, and we can't do this without amazing thought partners like y'all. So thank you for coming and spending time with us. We had a good group today. All right, Jamie, I think that's it. Everybody, we appreciate you so much. Thanks for making a difference. And,
What a great group. Did you see we had New Zealand in the house?
yeah, isn't that great? That was great.
Awesome.